Now I just pulled around to the shop, and my resident hawk, see him there on the branch, is hunting him a squirrel. And he's pretty brazen, especially when he's hungry. So we'll see how close we can get before he decides he's gonna fly off to another branch. There he goes. He'll be back. Alright, this is Sovereign that's getting the Kwik-Way loader. I've got to pull the fender, the running boards off both sides because I've got to cut them. And I also want to fit the rear support bar. Once I fit the rear support bar, then I'm going to temporarily marry the loader to the Kwik-Way so that I can do a bunch more figuring. The rest of the figuring that I have to do with it mounted, where I'm coming down to, fractions of an inch. And then I have to make the frame more robust towards the back here so that it won't buckle out. So we've got some reinforcing to do here. Fortunately, we've got some holes already here. I can put a piece of angle iron in here to reinforce it on this side, as long as I've got room to get the angle iron there. Same thing on the other side. Just need to strengthen this frame so it'll handle the weight. And same thing down here where we've got a real thin frame here. We'll have to do some reinforcing there as well. And the reinforcing is going to have to come out. It can't go in because it'll encroach on the engine. So let's get the footrests off. That's one, possibly two bolts, carriage bolt. I'll take the lines off for the power steering right here. Then we have one more back here by the cone clutch. I don't know if you guys can see my thumb or not because it's dark back there. See it wiggling? Another bolt right there. And that'll drop this one off. Then we'll drop the other one off. And we'll set the rear support bracket in place. Also, we have to cut out, right? We have to cut out right here to make room for that bracket, because that bracket mounts to the outside. So let's get that stuff off there. All right, running board off. This side I had to take the cylinder, the power steering cylinder, completely loose, and then this line fought me right here at the bitter end just because it was so close. And the lip that's up here, sorry, where you at? That lip right there was taller than the footrest would lay down. These hold the rock shaft on both sides, those two. So I took these two out and it dropped. So I put one bolt back in temporarily. I've got the cross brace under here, oriented in the same position that it was in when it was on the 71, what's in that, a 16. It was a 7117, but one capture nut here, one carriage bolt here, one carriage bolt here. That was all that was holding it on. I thought these were, but they weren't. They're just a through hole. Keep hearing weird noises like someone's spoofing me or something. Anyway, now we're gonna bring this up, get it mounted here, and then we'll do some measuring. We'll cut out what we need to cut out here. And I can't just take this footrest and just bring it up into position. I have to finagle it in. So that's probably going to fight me a good bit. So I think what I might do before I put this up through there is to go ahead and get the footrests cut out where they need to be cut out and remount them. And then I can just slide this up in the gap. If you guys remember on the 7116, we'll go take a look at it real quick. It was just hacked out with a blowtorch. We're not going to do it that way. And I got my suitcase weights mounted to the loader finally this past weekend. Let's come over here. See right here where they just hacked it all out with a blowtorch. We're going to make it a little cleaner than that. So just move you guys over to the workbench and we'll notch those out after I get my markings. Okay, you guys see my marks here. I'm going to take a shallow cut first, see if it'll fit. If not, then I'll do a deeper cut. I just want it to be as close as it can. That's just because I'm OCD. It's the only reason. So since you guys don't need to listen to this, you can see I'm just going to cut straight through here and straight across here, and then a little tab right there, and just take this section out right here. So because I value your hearing, I'll be right back. I've got my first cut here. I'm just going to come across the bottom side and knock it out here. Okay, I've got the slot cut. Now I do have it deep enough so that I can get the bracket up in there, but I'm not back far enough to pop it back. I just put it on with one carriage bolt and the bolt with the cage nut. I need to come back this way a little more. And once I get this one cut, I can take it, set it next to the other one, and just mirror that and cut the other one out. Alright, we got it situated here. We just cut back here a little bit more. And we came out a little further than we had to in the front, so I corrected that on the other floorboard here. So this is a section we're going to cut out. And overall it needs to be just a little over 2 inches. Give the brace a little bit of wiggle room. So I'm going to cut that out and get this mounted. Then we'll be able to drop that up into the slots and get it bolted in. It's going to be kind of tricky because the rock shaft and hydraulic cylinder and everything's all connected right here on these 4 bolts. So when I unbolt them, they're going to want to drop. So I've got to finagle a jack up underneath there to keep everything close enough so I can just use this little pickle poker and get the holes lined up. So that's where we're at. Well, the first one was about 6 or 7 pieces, just whittling, and then 1 piece on the second one. So obviously the second one went a lot faster. So let's see if it's going to slide up in there and clear everything. There we go. A lot better. Okay, now I've got to get a jack underneath this because it's heavy, and a jack underneath the rock shaft, which is bolted here on both sides. And then we're going to look inside the frame, see what we have to do for strengthening. Well, I'm going to look inside and then I'll let you guys know what I come up with. I have just simply removed the clutch brake pedal. You can't use it with that loader on here. It's just that simple. You just can't use it. So because you can't use it, well, why have it there? You know what I'm saying? Okay. And there's another possibility on mounting that will both make the frame much more rigid and give me a way to mount the side struts here for the front end loader, these pieces here. But what it's going to require is for me to twist this bar 90 degrees, because what I think I can get away with is mounting a piece of angle iron straight across here which will clear everything because it's going to be on the outside, right? And then just put a hole straight down through it, because if you guys remember, our power steering unit is encroaching on where it was mounted, so there's nothing saying I can't reinvent the wheel here. So I think that's what we're going to do, is just reinvent the wheel a little bit and possibly just kill two birds with one stone with a piece of angle iron across here, a good heavy piece of angle iron across here, bolted through in a number of places so that it is removable. It will then become part of the loader kit, okay? And I won't worry about mounting the power steering unit back up until I get those struts mounted here. And I think that my angle iron idea is going to work. In one, I know it's going to make the frame plenty rigid up front. That will then become a non-issue, okay? And I can even run it back behind the footrest a little bit. Just have to remove a couple of these bolts, and this one right here is not holding anything at all, and this one is holding the valve that this is connected to. There's that one, and then there's another one up here, so we can go through the angle iron and then just put a longer bolt in there to reattach that. So the rear lift is still somewhat usable if Sean decides he wants to use the rear lift, but I think nice good beefy piece of cast iron on this side and on the other side is going to take care of making the front rigid, and then we've got to strengthen the back. Just because of the nature of the frame, the way the frame's made, we've just got to make things a little bit stronger so that the whole works doesn't just buckle under the load. Makes sense to you? Makes sense to me. So, and it's going to be a big piece of angle iron, plenty big enough, plenty rigid enough. Okay, I'm going to get all that jacked up under there and get the rock shaft, or the cylinder mount, I guess it is, not the rock shaft. The rock shaft's right here. The cylinder mount is here. The cylinder pivots on that. That is controlled by your lift and lower lever there. So yeah, let me get busy. Alright, gotta put the brake on here. Put the brakes on. Oh, I dropped the nut. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? It disappeared. Huh. I don't know where it went. I'll find it. I will. There it is. Not that the brake really matters because the clutch pedal's gone, but put it back on anyway. Alright. Now we get the spring on here. Oh, get back up there. Okay, now we shouldn't have to mess with the back half of the tractor anymore, with the exception of just reinforcing when we go to reinforce the middle of the frame. Was tricky to get everything lined up because I had three things to get lined up. Had the bracket on the jack, the frame, so I had to get the bracket lined up with the frame, then I had to get the rock shaft that's holding the, not this rock shaft, the cylinder bracket to line up. It's just tricky, a little bit of prying here, there, and everywhere. But if we take a look, we can see we've got our clearances nice and tight on this side. The other side's gotten a little, you have smallmouth bass and you have big mouth bass, right? Now we got smallmouth bass on the right, big mouth bass on the left. It's not horrible. It's okay on the back. It's just a little bit bigger gap in the front. But no problem. And got the lines back on, and they are not in, the brace is not interfering with it at all. And I think what's going to happen next is I have to put this on my loader's kickstands in order to pull the tractor under and set it down on these big pieces of angle iron. As I get that done, and I'll get the back half situated, then we'll see what we're going to do as far as the front supports, how we're going to do the front support arms. Like I say, I want to turn them 90 degrees to one another instead of them being parallel with one another. I want to turn them 90 degrees with one another. Should be able to do that. Just a little bit of heat, a little bit of twisting, a little bit of heat, a little bit of twisting. So we've got grade 8 bolts. Replaced these bolts that were holding the lift cylinder bracket on with longer bolts, because we've got 3/8 inch plate of steel here. So these are longer, they go in plenty far enough, and I think I've got enough room that I can go ahead and, let me see, I might be able to, I may go ahead and throw nuts on the back side too, only because on the 7116, previously 7117, the bolts were backed out on one side quite a bit, and they were loose on the other side. So just with use, they loosened up. So we'll tackle that. We'll tackle that. Right now we're going to go ahead and end this bit. Next time you see this, it's going to be sitting in here with the loader up on the kickstands to my loader so that I can pull it under. Once I get it under there, then we'll go ahead and mount the back side of it, and we'll be able to drag it back without any problem at all and push it forward. It's not going to hurt anything. The back will be up off the ground, and these are the tanks for the, well, this side's not, that side's the tank for the hydraulic fluid. So we've just got to be careful about not injuring that, but we're getting there. So once we get this semi-mounted, then what we're going to do is, we've got the hydro pump sitting right here. Got the hydro pump. We need to get that small pulley. Well, both pulleys are the same size. The pulley on the left has a 1 1/8 hole. The one on the right has a 1-inch hole. The 1-inch hole is the one that was on the 7116, formerly 7117, and we need one that is 1 1 1/8. So we need to get the pump mounted, and we have no room to move that pulley. So however we orient this pump, we also have to be able to mount that pulley. And if not that pulley, then I will special order one with a 1 1/8 inch hole that will be able to use the front PTO on the engine to get things lined up. And I think I mentioned before, the exhaust pipe will not be able to stay. It's going to have to get shortened quite a bit and get redirected in some way, shape, or form. We'll figure that out when that time comes. But there we go. That's where we're at. Friendly neighborhood Zippo. I promise you guys, I'll see you when I see you.